This is sort of the same argument that you make that we see across arguments for better representation when it comes to sex or race, which is that diversity creates portfolio diversification, right?
Yes, 100%. And this is something that we try to explain to our current investors as well as our potential investors at Collab Capital, that investing in diverse demographics is actually a business opportunity. And one of the big reasons that we started Collab Capital to take advantage of that economic opportunity that in particular the venture capital space was totally ignoring and missing out on.
So it's been 7 weeks since the death of George Floyd, which obviously was the sort of pressure point that set off the Black Lives Matters movement in greater dynamism across the United States and the rest of the world. How much, I guess, actual substantial progress have you seen across the corporate sector, across, the venture space, across tech in that time?
When it first happened, it was a big jolt, right? And it felt different. This is not new to us as a Black community. We deal with these issues on a daily basis, and we have been, yelling to the mountaintops about these inadequacies in these different industries and how they recruit, source, and find Black talent, Black entrepreneurs. And so for us, it wasn't anything new, but this time to the community around us, it did feel different. And so you have a lot of organizations that have launched, different types of funds, and they're investing in social justice organizations. But as the time went on, we're also seeing something that happens every single time as well, in that after it's not a hot topic anymore, the corporations kind of fizzle away. The dollars start to get a little quieter. And so for me, that 2-week jolt, it honestly means absolutely nothing. I'm more interested in what we look like 2 years from now, and looking back at all those tweets and all those messages and seeing who was really trying to lead this diversification effort, and who's still in the fight 2 years from now. That's going to be the most important part.
So what would you like to see from business leaders or funds to help really advance the cause of equality?
Great question. So one of the things that, and this is probably going to be kind of blunt, but one of the things that I see as a cure is that you can't be lazy in how you go about your diversity efforts. And I'll explain that a bit. And that I'll speak specifically to venture capital. You don't have to go out as a venture capitalist, especially if you're a popular fund. You don't have to do a lot of work to find great deals. Entrepreneurs are going to, bring stuff to you and bring you pitches. You're going to have other investors and other advisors that are going to email you stuff and give you lead generation. And so if no Black investors or entrepreneurs are in your network, it's going to take a lot more work than sitting in your office and waiting for it to come to you. And you have to do the work and go out there and find it. And many times it's just too much work that venture capitalists are not, and investors are not willing to take on that extra workload. And so the other option is for funds, LPs, investors to invest in the people that are on the ground doing the work. And that's what we're doing at Collab Capital. We view ourselves as a diversification option to LPs that may be in, other major funds, or funds themselves that don't have the bandwidth to, go into these communities that they currently don't have a presence, and find talent. We're in these communities. We've already had a pipeline of close to 1,000 Black entrepreneurs that are looking for resources, looking for funding. And so these investors not only can kind of put more effort into it themselves, but they can also invest in the people that are doing the work.
So for your fund, what's the target right now, and how many companies are you planning to invest in the next couple of years, and what sort of companies are you looking at?
Yeah, great question. So we are going to invest in 50 to 60 companies over the next 5 years, and we are targeting a $50 million fund. But our model is quite different. Not only did we want to diversify people's portfolio by investing in Black entrepreneurs, but there was also this really big gap between a traditional bank loan and also venture capital. Those two vehicles to get business capital, they leave an 83% gap in the financial markets. And so many companies that don't fit either one of those two models, we built an entirely new model from scratch that actually also takes advantage of that gap in the financial markets. And so we're targeting entrepreneurs that are looking to run sustainable, profitable businesses. And our model is actually a profit sharing model. And so the kind of entrepreneurs that we look for is a tad bit different. But still, the model that we developed is, we plan to have venture level returns.
Barry, you look at your CV, you look at your pedigree, and it's exactly what you expect from a startup founder, right? And yet, when you were first starting out with the fund, even friends and acquaintances well-meaningly said that you needed a white partner. Is that still the case in the sorts of conversations that are being had in Silicon Valley and across the tech space?
Unfortunately, yes. And it's extremely unfortunate that this still happens. But obviously, I'm not operating my business anymore. I licensed my IP to a larger company out in Silicon Valley. But I still advise tons of companies in this role and in my role as a managing director at Techstars. And unfortunately, this still happens on a regular basis. And a lot of times it's not just the investor's thoughts, but it's just the entire ecosystem that we live in. And it's an unfortunate truth that as you go out and try to run your business as a Black founder, that you also have to sell product into industries that are still antiquated and run by, racist white males. And so you may have a hard time selling your product into a certain industry. And the investor is just thinking like, hey, I have to return the capital back to my limited partners. And so it's really just an unfortunate situation throughout the entire ecosystem. But I think the only way that you start to change that is you have to break the mold. You have to break the system. And so I don't advise Black founders to bring in, or replace themselves with, white male founders just to be successful, because it's our job to be the images that the Black youth need to see, and also that that the business world needs to see. So the next time that a Black entrepreneur shows up, they know that Black entrepreneurs can have really great products. They can be really successful. And so that's what we're trying to do here is we're trying to break that mold for not just our founders, but for the entire business economy.
Just quickly, what do you think was the edge that you had in getting yourself here?
Oh man, I could speak for hours on that. At the base of it, is grit. Just being willing to not listen to those people that made those comments. When things do happen, to not let it bog you down or depress you. And then it's a little bit of luck. Anybody that tells you that they didn't have a little luck on their side on their entrepreneurial journey, they're telling you a lie. Being in the right place at the right time, but doing the work up front to put yourself in a position to take advantage of that luck. That's where the grit and the hard work comes into place.